country may well be the place where trade as we know it began, because 2 million years ago, our early ancestors up in a place called Kangera, in what is now Western Kenya, were transporting stones and cutting implements over many kilometers to a great big workshop that has been discovered by archaeologists 2 million years ago. And they were turning these stones into axes and blades and cutting tools. And it's very hard to imagine that they weren't doing something very like what we now call trade in goods and services. We all join in congratulating Kenya in hosting this week's WTO Ministerial Conference, the first in Africa, and giving us this big opportunity to live by exchanging and to promote sustainable growth and development for all of us.
One of the things that is exciting is the connectivity of the region with the common market, with the customs union, and joint investments that are going on, the Northern Corridor projects, especially infrastructure and oil pipeline, and the whole area of tourism. And we share a lot of resources that are common, that makes it exciting for investors to see that they can come to one place and be able to access a lot of the investments. That makes it a very exciting region.
I thought we needed to turn East Africa into a single customs territory, an effective single customs territory. And it's taken a lot of work around non-tariff barriers to trade, removing them, investing in ports and investing in other facilities, getting interconnectivity. So that has really, I think, brought in a lot of momentum. I hope that we can now turn our airspace into a single airspace, because the territory is both land and air. So the next phase should be to turn our airspace into one territory.
Trade diplomacy is acquiring a very beautiful face. It's increasingly dominated by very sharp women. And I was fearing East Africa was being left behind, so it's very nice and encouraging. So I wanted to encourage more. You are the face of trade diplomacy internationally.
I think I take an example of a woman who maybe 5 years ago used to smuggle a few kilograms of wheat flour from Tanzania into Uganda. And today, as a result of some of the programs that have been implemented by Trademark in partnership with others, she now is able to import 20 tons of wheat flour. So this change is a change that you see happening in the lives of one category of women in business, one category of women in trade being the cross-border traders.
The people who do this trade, more than 80% of that trade, we're talking about $300 million a year, is done informally by women, by young people, by people without business licenses, people who are recognized by nobody. And there is a lot of potential here. That trade can grow tenfold if properly facilitated.
The importance of facilitating trade between East Africa is one of the things that is at the top of the agenda of the political leadership, and every 2-3 months there are meetings to discuss exactly these kind of issues. We really have started on a journey. We are very positive and optimistic in actually improving the issues of trade, especially along the Northern Corridor. And I think over time we will see what we can do more within the whole of East Africa.
The very deliberate leadership by President Kenyatta, almost very soon after he took office, he started focusing on the port and saying, look, this Northern Corridor has to improve. It's just too inefficient. And I think we've seen that cocktail being quite effective.
The best way to liberalize trade, to contribute to development, is to be done in your region. So while the multilateral system is stuttering, it is critically important that the regional momentum is maintained.
Actually, some East African countries do more trade with non-East African countries than they do with the countries within the East African region.
You cannot qualitatively transform East African cooperation into a common market without strengthening Arusha. So long as you stick onto national obsessions with our government, our authority, our rules, our law, you cannot create greater integration than where you have reached today.
We've managed to bring down transport times, but what about costs? What does that imply in terms of the way that the value chain and logistics operates? Also, to really not just build infrastructure, as you said, but to get the software side right. In the end, you can build lovely roads, lovely border posts, fantastic ports, But unless the productivity and the operation of those is really, really strong, you're not going to get the kind of gains on trade that you need.
The small interventions that have taken place are good. We would like to see more. We would like to see a larger scale. We'd like to see an end to little teeny-weeny projects that solve one teeny-weeny problem, because, you know, there's a cocktail of challenges which demands a cocktail of solutions.